What is up, YouTube? It's your computer engineering gamer back with another devlog for the KOTOR Lightsaber planner. As you can see here on GitHub, I released version 1.1 for you to use, and I hope this helps you enjoy it more. So let's just go through some of the changes that we made in version 1.1. We gave you the option to show the crystal locations so that you can input another character and the options for the input, and you will get the locations listed on the planet, the container that it's in, where it's located, and how many are on that planet for each crystal in the document. We'll go through that later. Integrated crystal stats into lightsaber output. Now when you output your lightsaber stats in every single loop that iterates, it'll show you no crystal, no crystal. It'll also show you the crystal with their specific sets. But in the top part, when your lightsaber is being shown, it will integrate those stats into your damage. So that doesn't just show 2 to 16 for a lightsaber. It'll now show like 5 to 25 or whatever the hell it updates to. For the attributes, I added the minimum and max value of 8 and 32. So this comes from each attribute has a minimum of 8 and 23. The problem for this is that each attribute has a minimum of 8 upon character creation, and you can get a maximum of up to, I believe, 20 or 18. And whenever you level up, you only get 4 of those attribute upgrades. So you can get a maximum of like 22 on that, but with Strategy Wiki it says there's some way you can get like up to 23 or something. I don't know. I just went with it. But show the bonus from strength or dex for which stat is higher. So now on your attributes, you put strength in, it's like 12, dexterity is 14. When a lightsaber kind of has the finesse attribute that you can get for KOTOR 2, it's already built into the game on this one with lightsabers. So if you have a higher dexterity, you can get a +2 bonus to your attack bonus, and that will show in the app now. Upgraded some console output. I originally released it where the stats for the attributes would show in a not like really good order. So I reverted it back to an implemented state where it will show in the way that KOTOR shows it with like strength, dexterity, con in that order, whatever. And then I fixed some typos in crystals.json just to help with some of the different things that help with the integration of crystals into the lightsaber. So we can go through that and see what we can get here. So we have our project, we can make it. You can still just run make and it'll build it on its own. You can just download the zip file from GitHub, and I'll show you that in a sec. Alright, so now that's done, you just run main.exe. You can use strength of 12, and I'll give you dexterity is 14 so you can see that output switches, and we'll update that later. We'll just run through these. We'll do a basic lightsaber for now. Basic blue colored crystal. No crystal, no crystal. Alright, so you can go with the standard blue basic lightsaber as your full setup. You get 2 to 16 energy damage. Your critical threat range is 19 to 20 with a ×2 multiplier. Well, we can swap our crystal 1 with the, basic crystal Robot. And you can see that at the bottom here, it shows your crystal and its stats there. You get attack modifier +1 damage energy. In your lightsaber configuration, you can see that the damage is updated to 3 to 16, and that there's an attack modifier +1. So if we add a second crystal, we can add the damage, and we can get the attack modifier +1. You can see that has added to +2. We'll swap it again to maybe something different like the Opala. Now the Opala is the one crystal that has massive criticals, and you can see that when you ×2 on your critical threat range here, it adds the massive critical damage of 2 to 12 damage on the end, and shows down here in the Opala crystal, and that energy 3 damage is out of that 1 integrated here, 6 to 20. So everything's integrated now into kind of this top layer here of the lightsaber type with what you're going for, and then this information is just so you can see your specific crystals. So now that we have 2 crystals equipped, we can use this new option, 6, show current crystal locations, and this will show you that the planet, location, container, and I'm available for each crystal. So looking at your Robot here, you can find it on Dantooine in the Crystal Cave in a crystal formation, and there's 2 of them available in this location. In Opala, you can find on Tatooine or Korriban. See where you find him. It's in a Rebel or on Jorak Ulm. He's just considered a container because he's holding the crystal when you kill him or whatever. And then 1 of each. So this is a new addition. This is to help you guys plan out, this is the lightsaber I want to build. This is how I'm going to get there and get that crystal so I can equip it onto my lightsaber as fast as possible. So you can plan out your run to be pretty efficient and pretty, pretty accurate here. Representation of what you'll find if you have a Rubat and an Opala, you know, you'll have a single blade, 6 to 20 damage, 19 to 20 critical range, but you'll have massive criticals with an attack modifier +1. If you have 14 dexterity, you'll get a 2 bonus to that, so you essentially have a +3 modifier. If we update our attribute of strength, 16, you can see that changes to your strength, and it's 3. You know, if you have your strength at, 13, you still only get the +1, and I can update the dexterity also to be 12 so that your strength is higher. You still only get the attribute attack bonus of 1 because odd numbers don't add to that attribute modifier. So all that's kind of fleshed out, all that's in here. Right now, everything here for the lightsabers themselves are pretty much done. I know there's one issue right now with the app. There is one bug that I'm very aware of right now. String or letter inputs go to a full-on failure mode. So let's say you're on the select and you put in A. You'll just have to Control-C out of it and restart your planner. Hopefully that doesn't interfere with anything in the future. I'm going to make a fix for that when I get to V1.2 or maybe even just 2.0 because I'm going to kind of consider it 2.0 once I integrate the second lightsaber option. And from the way things are working right now, the lightsaber update option is going to be here after the storage. So next up on version 1.3, I'm going to add storage functionality, or 1.2, my bad. And then version 2.0 will kind of be like a complete app, and it will be 2 lightsabers, saving it, updating attributes, yada yada, everything flushed out. So coming back to the lightsaber planner on GitHub, where you're going to download this project, you're going to want to come here, and there's a couple different ways you can do it. If you just come straight to the page, I'll link this in the description below and you'll be able to get to it. You can just go to this code up here, and you can, if you're familiar with the command line, you can use HTTPS and download it with a git clone, or you can just download a zip and unzip that. That's probably going to be for most of you. I added the release over here, and I tagged it, so further releases go back. If there's any bugs you don't necessarily like or any changes you don't like, you can always come back to the lightsaber planner here, and you will click tags, and you'll just go to this version 1.1, and you'll always be able to download this zip specifically for this code base right here that you just saw. Coming back to that, but yeah, you can just come to version 1.1 release, download the zip or the tar.gz, whatever format you decide. Most people are just going to use zip and use 7-zip to get that out. And yeah, you'll just follow these steps right here. You'll download the code, unzip the folder, CD in the top level directory. I'm assuming you also know how to use GitHub if you're using the console with this app anyways, but I just offer the option to download a zip because maybe somebody wants to do that option instead. You can just make it all. There's a make file for you there, and then main.exe. If you want to remove it, just type make clean. And that's about it. I hope you guys enjoy this, and more updates to come. That's all I have to show for you guys today. If you want to stick around, I'm going to go through more of the details on the code side. If you are interested in that, you can stick around. If not, have a good day. Subscribe. Go join on Peli.gg if you feel like it. Follow me on Twitch. Watch me stream. I'm playing KOTOR 2 right now, Force only. Anyways, bye for those people. If you're interested in the development of this, we made our attribute check update. And so the attribute check, you just sum up all the attributes here. I have an array of the attributes listed. Check to make sure each one's better than 8. And if it's greater than 23, I'll give you an attribute out of bounds. And I'll just return. And if it's just return false, kind of when you initialize your attributes, you'll be stuck in a loop until you initialize a good set of attributes you can actually use. I'll pop up a video here that shows an initialization for attributes maybe. It just shows you how your maximum works out. Moving on to that, let's see, what else did I change? In the option loop, I added this kind of bottom here, added the 6 to output. Not a big deal. Just had to add the switch case and kind of switch these user choices down to a different case and make 10 where you break out of the loop and exit the app. Other than that, most changes were made here in Lightsaber. So when I'm calculating these crystals and you show the current lightsaber, I'll just show out the saber type and the color crystal because that's easier to fetch from the current way I have things set up with the lightsaber. But then I call this calc stats with crystals, and I just toss in the crystal data because that's this JSON that I load. And so when you're in here, you'll come through, and the way you need to do this is, at least with the way I implemented it, is I have different vectors. I have the effect vectors for Crystal 1, the effect vector for Crystal 2, and the extra effects that don't fit into the lightsaber integration. And so I get the crystal value. If there's not a crystal, I make it an empty and go on. Same thing with 2. And this is because when I first implemented it, I didn't have this check for no crystal, and it threw a bunch of errors because you can't fetch anything on a no crystal that doesn't have any stats in this crystals.json. So that made errors, so I had to fix that. And then I make a crystal vector array, add both of those arrays into this vector. This just makes it easier to loop, so I don't have to copy all of this for loop a second time, and I just throw in this for each vector in the vector array. So I loop through crystal 1 and then crystal 2 and whatever stats they have, and so on and so forth. And so your damage min effect and damage max effect is the damage on your lightsaber. I take in the damage min and damage max. This is determined by your lightsaber type, and that's just like a kind of a constant thing. I don't really touch that. I don't want to mess with that and filter with that data. I just want to keep this kind of like a pure function for that. All these integers, attack bonus 0, blaster bolt deflection 0, force regeneration 0, these are used later on. And then if you ever get, a regeneration force points 2, you'll get a check down here that says, if you regenerate force points, put this out in your output. And so this last vector here gets filled out when you get through the rest of these. So you go through each crystal in the crystal array, so crystal 1, crystal 2, and then you go through the stat vector, which is just the stat in each of these vectors. And so you'll check for if it's a damage energy. These are pretty consistent to lightsabers that just add damage. I'll just find this comma here and copy out what's rest of there into a substring. And then I have to figure out if it is a full number damage or a dash of damage. Let me find one. Yeah, like the Upari on the Heart of Guardian has energy 2 to 12 damage, so I have to filter out whether it's a dash or just a straight integer, so I can do the string to integer calculation here, and then add that damage to the min effect, damage max effect, and then damage min effect and max effect is the same when you just have a solid number. So elsing ifing, because you want to just kind of get through, you don't want to go evaluate all these if statements if you know that your statement was done on the first one, and that just skips a bunch of code checks. It's kind of a performance thing. You're not really going to notice in something this small, but we're trying to be good here. Next one is attack modifier. You can always just add that to this attack bonus. I keep track there. If it gets above 0, you output it. If you don't, forget about it. Blaster bolt deflection, same thing. Master criticals is only on the Opala crystal, and so this is lower on the tier because you want to check your most common cases first. So damage energy is your most common case in this, as well as attack modifier, and so that's why these two are at the top. These will be the first 2 checked. If I really wanted to be a stickler about it, I would count each one and how many times that could be affected, but I'm not going to go do that because I don't care enough. Also, if I cared enough, regeneration force would be above massive criticals because there's 3 regeneration forces, I believe, and only 1 massive critical. There's a single keen and a single massive criticals. That's why they're at the bottom, so we evaluate those last. And then other than that, things that are like, energy 2 to 12 versus ion specifically, versus droid specifically, or I know the Solari down here has restricted to light side. That all just gets output in this extra effects, and I just kind of make a vector, push it all in there, like a queue, and then I just kind of spit it all out at the end at the bottom of the lightsaber configuration. So that's how I made all these changes in that, and I hope that you enjoy using it, and I hope you use it to make your next playthrough valuable. With that, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Just so you know, made us lost without the sauce, but the same man can get lost in the sauce. Get out of here.